You've known for years exactly what you want to build. The book, the business, the career change. You can see it so clearly it almost hurts. But instead of doing it, here you are, completely frozen. Lazy people feel comfortable, but you feel a specific active ache, the guilt of someone who knows exactly what they should be doing and simply cannot move. It is a strange paradox. You can easily knock out difficult tasks for an employer or handle heavy obligations for your family, but the second you sit down to work on your personal dream, you hit a brick wall. This friction is not a character flaw or a lack of willpower. Instead, it is an invisible, active force fighting against you the exact moment you attempt work that truly matters. Stephen Pressfield named this force resistance. Its strength is directly proportional to the goal's importance. Daily chores sit on the left, you do them easily, but the dream triggers a massive wall of friction on the far right. Because this internal friction only rises when something actually matters to you, your paralysis functions exactly like a compass. The harder you feel pushed back, the more significant that specific goal is to your own sense of self. To understand why this happens, we have to look at the hardware. Your brain's primary evolutionary job is to ensure your survival. It prioritizes safety over your self-actualization. This process is managed by the amygdala. Think of it as an ancient, highly sensitive alarm system, constantly scanning your environment for threats. The amygdala cannot distinguish between a physical predator and the psychological danger of failing at a major dream. To your brain, the risk of public failure or crushed potential feels like a mortal threat. Contemplating the hard work triggers dread, so you flee to a distraction. This provides instant relief, a psychological reward that physically strengthens the neural pathway for procrastination every time you repeat the loop. Dr. Tim Pychyl spent decades proving this loop is driven by emotion, not time management. In 1996, he used these digital pagers to track students' feelings leading up to academic deadlines. While students used logic to justify their delays, the data showed that the dread of starting was entirely manufactured by their own brains. Once they were forced to begin, they found the tasks were never as painful as they had imagined. By prioritizing safety, your brain sabotages your progress. It views the emotional risk of attempting a big goal as a greater threat than the long-term regret of staying exactly where you are. This chart shows how dopamine works. We often think of it as the reward for finishing a task, but it is actually released most strongly in anticipation. When you build vision boards or watch endless tutorials, your brain gets the chemical hit of achievement without you doing any of the work. You've already experienced the win in your mind, so the motivation to actually execute disappears. This leads to what Pressfield calls the shadow career, a disguise where your brain uses safe, adjacent tasks to simulate the feeling of progress. It's why people spend years reading about writing instead of writing, or hide behind the prestige of an MBA instead of launching the actual business. These productive distractions serve as painkillers. They keep you pacified just enough to avoid the terrifying leap into the real work. Waiting for a moment of perfect readiness is a strategy guaranteed to fail. The fear does not leave before you begin. It decreases only after you have started. An amateur waits for the right mood. A professional treats the dream as a non-negotiable job, showing up at the desk regardless of how they feel. You can sneak past your amygdala's threat detection by shrinking your task to an absurdly small size. Committing to just opening a document or writing a single sentence prevents the brain from categorizing the action as a danger. It is too small to trigger the alarm. The goal is to initiate momentum through actions so small they require zero motivation. Once you are in motion, the biological avoidance loop begins to break. Your identity as a procrastinator is not a fixed trait. It is a behavioral pattern your brain has recognized and filed away as a truth. You change that identity by taking small, uncomfortable actions that update your internal ledger. You prove through evidence that you are someone who executes. Give yourself permission to start badly and incompletely. The professional who has shipped 100 projects still faces resistance every morning. They simply stopped waiting for it to go away. Taking immediate, imperfect action shifts you from planning to doing. It is the practical step required to begin aligning your daily behavior with the ambitions you have held for years.